Now, for a look at some international headlines we're following at this hour, we're going to turn over to our NewsCenter, where our Eunice Kim is standing by.
Eunice, the U.S. Federal Open Market Committee is meeting this week under the stewardship of its new chief, Janet Yellen. What are we hearing?
Hi guys, that's right. The Fed's policymaking committee meets Tuesday and Wednesday this week, and we'll hear from Fed Chair Janet Yellen at the end of it. What's widely expected is a third round of quantitative tapering. The Fed will likely announce that it will add $10 billion less to its Treasury and mortgage-backed securities in April to the tune of $55 billion. This given the absence of a huge economic shift in the U.S. Now, what's less clear is how Yellen will guide the Fed on short-term interest rates against the backdrop of falling U.S. unemployment rates, which at 6.7% last month has been dipping faster than expected. The results of the meeting are expected early Thursday morning, Korea time. And in other news, investigators began their 12th day of searching for missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 with very few leads and an even bigger search area. The Malaysian government said Tuesday that the search zone has now been expanded to over 2.24 million square nautical miles, an area roughly the size of Australia. China, with Kazakhstan, will lead the search efforts in the northern corridor, while the southern corridor will be helmed by Australia. Authorities are trying to piece together patchy data and backtrack the sequence of events. The New York Times reports that senior U.S. officials say the plane's sudden move to the west was likely programmed into the Boeing 777's computer system by someone on board with deep knowledge of it. Meanwhile, patience is running thin for the families as the relatives of some Chinese passengers on board are threatening to go on a hunger strike if more information is not provided by Malaysian authorities. The United States has called on Syria to suspend its diplomatic mission in the United States as the civil war in Syria enters its fourth year with little sign of easing. U.S. Special Envoy for Syria Daniel Rubinstein explained it was, quote, unacceptable for persons appointed by the Bashar al-Assad regime to conduct diplomatic operations in the U.S. The order affects the Syrian embassy in Washington as well as its consulates. Strides toward a peace settlement for Syria do look dim as relations between its main brokers, the U.S. and Russia, are worsening. And the most important meal of the day is getting costlier. The Financial Times reports that costs of 8 key breakfast commodities, coffee, orange juice, milk, wheat, sugar, butter, cocoa, and pork, have risen nearly 25% this year on the back of rising demand and global uncertainties. Unseasonably dry weather in Brazil has caused coffee to jump more than 70%, while wheat prices have increased due to a prolonged extreme winter in the U.S., as well as the conflict in Ukraine, which is a key grain-producing country.